for the fourth time. Welcome to the Hardyburg Broadcast Network. This is the Power Hour broadcast with Danny L. Smith. And right now, if you're on, you don't have to go there now, but if you go to Facebook, go look up the group, Power Hour Broadcast, Danny L. Smith, add yourself. We got 4 good pieces of content up on the Law of the Lid and Law of Awareness that we've already posted. And we just launched this page about 4 weeks ago, so we're now starting to invite members to it. You guys are welcome to this. Danny is a John Maxwell certified coach, and today we're going to be talking about everyone communicates, few connect. So, Danny, with that said, take it away, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Hardy. We're going to be talking about this. This is one of my favorite books, if not my favorite, from John. I remember when John was writing this book, and he had it was his first, I believe it was his first try with a blog. And as he was writing the chapters, he was inviting comments from his world. And but everyone communicates, few connect. You think about that, and it in and of itself seems to be a contradiction, but it's the truth. Everyone we're all communicating. We're communicating our heads off. We're talking. I was in meetings today, and oh my gosh, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody. I have no intention of offending anybody with this. So if you were in a meeting with me today, and please don't take offense to this, but there were a couple of people I was in a meeting with today, and all they did was communicate. They did no connecting with me. Now, some meetings are purposeful like that the communicating is coming from just one party. I was in a meeting with John Becker, CPA, here in Austin. And John, we were together for a very specific purpose. John had been through, he had seen me do a 30-minute presentation on Stop Wasting Handshakes. He's in a group with Brian Henson and Dan Forbes and Joe Neal Kerr and a couple of others, and they're starting to go through the book 7L. And I believe it was Brian Henson told John, hey, you ought to get with Danny. You saw that PowerPoint presentation. Get the PowerPoint and get with him. Something like that. John and I got together today, and I was asking John some questions, and he was giving me feedback. So if I'm asking questions, somebody's giving feedback, that's one thing, but to sit down with somebody and all you hear is them and about their business, that's communicating, but it's not connecting. Here's some contents that we're going to be covering on and off the next few weeks. I'm going to talk about a kind of a new process we're going to bring about. Not a process, but some a little bit different purpose for a while. But here's some. I want you to think about, and Hardy, interrupt me at any time here. Jump in. Okay. And Maxwell has his book laid out in 2 parts. One is connecting principles, and the other connecting practices. So connecting principles. When John Becker and I visited today, I gave him some practices around database management, and I don't think we got into the grading of the database, but utilizing the database, you got to keep the database up. He asked some great questions. I mean, one of them, how often do you call your database? So we went through that. Those were practices, but I was very specific that we covered a couple of principles. And the principles that I believe I covered was some of the principles that cause us to only communicate and not connect, some of the principles of what keeps us from having a database and mining our database and utilizing a database and even having a good database. There's principles involved that most of us don't know the principles. We just know we should, and knowing that we should do something really isn't a principle. So here's 5 principles that we're not going to cover these today. We might cover parts of one of them, maybe 2. Connecting increases. Now, this is connecting principles, not communicating, but connecting principles. Connecting increases your influence in every situation. Connecting is all about others. I met somebody this morning. I was at a meetup group. There were about 8-10 people sitting around a table. There was a topic thrown out, and there was we jumped right into it, didn't get to the introduction. There was one new person there. So before we left, I asked him, why don't you tell everybody your name, what you do? He did. I said, why don't you give us a business card? He passed his cards around. And then I just went around the table real quick, and I said, Jason is a chiropractor. Robert's a realtor. And just told what everybody did real quick, and that was it. Well, he told me what he did, but he never asked me what I did. It was a very one-way conversation. He did not really connect with me. Now, over the next few weeks, we're going to be diving deeper into this in what I call a stop wasting handshakes type format. We probably won't start that for about 3 weeks, Herdy, because on the 25th and 26th, I think that's the right dates. I'm sorry, the 26th and 27th, I've got 2 stop wasting handshakes. Actually, stop wasting handshakes is, for the most part, the same class as guerrilla marketing for realtors. And I'm doing 2 continuing education classes on the 26th and 27th. Same class each day. One is out in Lakeway. That's the one on the 27th. It's a lunch and learn. And then there's one at T-Works, and it's from 2 to 4 in the afternoon versus 11:30 till 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like that. Information will go out, be posted on Facebook. If you're on my email list, you'll get that. But we're going to follow up with that, and here in the Power Hour, start working through some of this process that we've already covered about environment, the law of environment, law of awareness, the law of the lid, and the law of, what was the other one? Law of process, did I say that? And yeah. But we're going to back up in some of that on and off, but we're also, all of that is built into the whole entire Stop Wasting Handshakes, Guerrilla Marketing for Realtors classes. That's really a 12-week series. So we're going to be covering the follow-through of those classes instead of doing follow-through where we all meet. We're going to do it here during the Power Hour on and off. So John's connecting principles. Connecting increases your influence in every situation. Connecting is all about others, and that's where I got off on that other rabbit trail. It's kind of like throwing a stick out there. Connecting is all about others. It's all about others. Reading a book right now, Herdy and I start studying together. It's called Give and Take by a man named Adam Grant. Adam Grant is a Wharton Business School professor, has been doing this study for years around give and take. And here's what's interesting. Now, the title of the book's Give and Take, but it could also be about connecting. It's about success. And he has been studying successful and non-successful people, industries. He studied actors. He studied salespeople, secretaries, doctors and dentists, engineers, marketers. He's covered a wide range of industries. And he has broken the givers and takers into 3 groups. You have your givers, your takers, and your matchers. Here's what's interesting. The bottom third on the success scale, top third being the best, bottom third being the least successful, the bottom third and the top third are all givers. The middle third are takers and matchers. John Maxwell could have easily, that book wasn't out when he wrote this a few years ago, probably 10 years ago now, but he could have gathered a lot of data for his Everyone Communicates, Few Connect book out of that book, because the takers are communicators. They're just driving communication down people's throat, and they're the middle of the pack. Now, what's interesting is that the matchers are right there with them. People say, "I'll give you this if I'm getting this." That's a matcher. The difference between a successful giver and a non-successful giver in every industry category was a difference between being unselfish and what he calls otherish. If I just give, I'm totally unselfish and I'm not even looking out for myself, everybody loves me, but I'm really not doing that well financially. And as far as being successful, let's just talk about it from a financial standpoint. People can argue, well, there's other means of success. I agree, but you got to eat. Okay, you got to keep the lights on. We all want a house that's stable and a car that doesn't break down. So let's just work with me here. And if you want to call, we get into a deep scriptural, biblical conversation about success. I get it. But there's a such thing as giving, is what he calls otherish. And I'm just going to tell you that those are the people reading that book, thinking about this lesson, and those people are good connectors. Connecting goes beyond words. Connecting always requires energy. Connecting is more skill than natural talent. Now, those are the principles. Increases your influence in every situation. Connecting is all about others. Connecting goes beyond words. Connecting always requires energy. And connecting is more skill than natural talent. Skill. Many of us think that it's about an attitude. We could sit here and do an exercise about attitude, and you'd end up agreeing. I've got a skill about attitude. You end up agreeing that it is 95% skill. Attitude is nothing but skill. And connecting is more skill than natural talent. And I'll just add, and connecting is more skill than attitude. The practices, connectors connect on common ground. Connectors do the difficult work of keeping it simple. Connectors create an experience everyone enjoys. That's one of the things that Adam Grant said in Givers and Takers. The otherish person is having fun while he's sharing. Connectors inspire people, and connectors live what they communicate. What stands out for you, Herdy?
All of it. I like the otherish thing, and I never thought about the matches thing from the standpoint of you ask for something, but you expect something in return. That's interesting.
That one kind of shook.
It's been a lot of how we live our lives, you know.
Yeah.
We expect something if we give something. And you're right about the givers. The giver would be I'm in that category, so I have to be really careful. I give away a lot of information and stuff for $0, and And a lot of that information people can make profit on. And so I'm having to revamp my thinking a little bit, and I'm not opposed to giving stuff away through presentations and meeting with people, but I'm having to revamp how I give out stuff to folks. So I'm in that process.
Well, hey, Hurdy, here's a statement that Grant puts out about that. Generous tit for tat can easily wipe out tit for tat and defend itself against being exploited by defectors.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say anything about that.
Well, I'm trying to find something here, but I don't see it. But one of the things that he says about being otherish versus unselfish or even or selfish, either one, is that when you give it. And I'll explain what he means by this. I had to go back and go, what is he just? And by the way, I'm listening to that book and reading it. And it's kind of something I've really started doing, as you know, here in the last few months. I've been listening to books, and those books I really want to learn. I'll listen to something, then I'll I'll listen to a chapter, then I'll read the chapter and go back through and engage in it. I engage in it a little bit differently. That's what I'm trying to say. So, and Hurdy, I think you just dropped off. Did you just drop off the call, Hurdy? You must have hit the wrong button, dude. So, we'll wait for him to come back on. Check. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. One of the things that Adam Grant talks about is being a chunker versus a sprinkler. And otherish people they learn how to take a certain part of their week, do all their giving during that chunk of time instead of sprinkling it through the week. Because what happens is the givings, many times, it wears us out. So we do it all in one chunk. By the way, I learned about this book in John Maxwell's book, No Limits. And the No Limits book, that's his most recent book, just came out last November, and it's about your capacity. And it's there's 18 or 19 different types of capacity that he identifies in the book. And in there, he quotes Adam Grant some stuff here out of this book. So, Hurdy, I saw you dropped off. You're back, though. Is that right?
I'm here.
Are you there? Okay,
yes.
You're there. I just unmuted you. Could you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So, for you, Hurdy.
Yes, sir. Make it easy.
What would you think a connecting signal is?
If you relate to them, if you relate to them, if you can relate to them, and like it says here, if you can identify the ability to identify with other people and relate to them, I think is a critical connecting attribute. Openness, if you're talking about actual signals like railroad signal, right, when the arms go down, then I think openness and is another one you could talk about.
What about body language? You know, I was thinking about this.
Body language too.
I'm very comfortable. I say, and I'll tell people, I'm sitting there talking to them or standing, and I'll cross my arms. I'll say, hey, this is not a sign of being disinterested or anything, but I'm just comfortable crossing my arms. I quit doing that a while at some point in time, and I'm very conscious of that. Very conscious of the of being of that body language. But, you said openness. It made me think about body language. I'm going to start paying attention to that as I'm talking to somebody, how open they are. And maybe that will help the connecting. And I
was going to say, Danny, I know another thing that I pay attention to is if I'm talking to somebody and I'm trying to ask them open-ended questions, if they start saying right or right, I know they're not listening.
Yeah.
You with me?
Mm-hmm.
So I pick up on how people respond to stuff. So that's why I try to ask a lot of open-ended questions so that it gets them engaged in a conversation.
Herdy, we've had a lot of discussions around DISC assessment, different type of assessments, and being a mortgage loan officer, I know that if somebody calls me and says, "What's your rate?" and I start asking them questions, and all they want to do is come back to rate,
right?
Then I'm probably dealing with what's that?
I just said right, but I was listening, so scratch that.
Okay. Is that I'm you got to come up with a new word, and you can't use that word at all anymore. And
nope,
so
gone.
It is that if all they want to know is what the rate is, I'm saying, okay, what program do you want? They said, well, just tell me what the rate is, and I have people do that. Then I know I'm probably dealing with a very high C, even a DC, and then and I've tried to learn what question as I ask questions to gauge their personality, not to manipulate them, but to be sure that I'm not being unduly influenced in the wrong direction, but also be sure I can communicate with somebody and, let's say that I can connect and not just communicate. You and I have talked about, and anybody that's on the call wants to hear about it, there's a tool that that's now available that is on that you can use with LinkedIn that will, whoever profile you're looking at, it will give you their DISC assessment based upon their activity on LinkedIn and the way their profile and all is written up. And I've been using it, been testing a little bit to connect with people maybe better. It's been pretty accurate, not totally, pretty accurate though. So, John gives some connecting symbols. You see somebody that's giving extra effort if they're just appreciative, they are open, if they're expressing themselves readily, if they're good at if they feel good about what they're doing, these people John says are typically connectors. But Herdy, I want to kind of end it right there.
Okay.
I do have, you've been through the Stop Wasting Handshakes.
I have.
From almost the very beginning. Even I think you sat in on one of the classes back before we were even calling it. Stop Wasting Handshakes was just part of the entire Guerrilla Marketing for Realtors class.
Correct.
What do you think about in this context of this book? This is what we're trying to do with the whole Stop Wasting Handshakes program. I think, aren't we?
Yeah.
And this weekend I was going through this. I was looking at this lesson, looking at materials, what I want to cover tonight. I'm, getting ready for these two classes coming up, and going through thinking about the follow through. And what I normally do is I do a lot of thinking about it. I make notes on it, journal a little bit about it. Have a folder that I stuff things into. Now I've given that class numerous times, but I try to improve it every time I do. I'm expecting between those two classes on the 26th and 22nd, or 26th and 27th, I'm expecting around between 40 and 50 people between the two classes, and then at least half of them plus another group to go through a follow-through series that these Monday nights will be part of. And it just hit me. We're trying to connect with people. This is all we're trying to do is make our communication, take our communication to a connecting level.
And Danny, I see two parts to that now. I see the ability to have a strong follow-up system, but I also see that as we could have put a / between that. I also see the connecting side of this. So there's twofold to that stop wasting handshakes. It's the actual process you have to follow up so you can connect with people, and then the actual connection. So I kind of like how you're tying this into that. That's really good.
Good thought process. I've got to get past some, in that course we talk about part of it's our mindset and getting our mindset right, even playing the so what if you did game. What if you did want to do something different? What if you did want to do a better job connecting? I've had people say, well, I don't want to use I like to use 3x5 cards as instead of a CRM. I said, well, 3x5 cards, and that's your contact relationship management system. It just has to be on paper. But what if you did want to do it with a CRM like Zoho? What if you did want to start spending time mining your database and grading your database, working your database with a connection plan? We're going to be talking about all that in the coming weeks and what we can do to truly make a difference. Hurdy?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for we had some callers. I can't tell on this end, but thanks for listening in, guys. We appreciate that. This show will be up in the next couple of days on the Power Hour broadcast, Danny L. Smith group on Facebook. Go look it up, and if you add yourself, we'll join you in. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you, sir. See you.
All right.